Welcome to the Unknown Stories podcast, a podcast by Unknown University. I am Jurgen, your host of today. And today we dive deep into the story of Oliver Christodoulou. Oliver studied for 4 years at our Unknown University. He's now graduated and going back to his roots, back to South Africa, to build up the entrepreneurial ecosystem in South Africa. And today we hear all about his plans and also all about his experiences at Unknown University. So let's dive in and let's get on with it. Oliver Christodoulou, welcome.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Jurgen. I appreciate the warm introduction. It's nice to be here and to be here sitting with you after 4 and a bit years of great experiences and entrepreneurial ventures into the unknown. A bit about myself. I'm South African, born and raised. I'm half Greek. Grew up in South Africa and then decided that I didn't want to go the traditional theoretical education route. I wanted to explore and be more practical, hands-on. And when I came across the Unknown University of Applied Sciences, the learn by doing aspect is what really stood out for me. And the ability to actually test, fail, and reiterate throughout the course of a 4-year degree and learn how to do that on the ground was what really got me going.
Because you were 19, 18?
Yeah, 19.
In the neighborhood of Dunbar?
No, Durban.
Durban.
Yeah. Pietermaritzburg, Durban, somewhere along the line. Yeah.
And there you thought, let's study in the Netherlands. Like, that's a big step.
Yeah, it is.
How did you, because you talk about the choice to doing practical education, but still it's a big step to go this long. Like what were your decisions? How did you go about this step?
A good question. For me, I've always been someone that takes leaps when I step. I don't have to like slowly ease my way into something. I go all in. And more recently, I heard the phrase, which I think encapsulates it very well, burning the boats. It's actually a Dutch phrase. And that implies...
Schepen verbranden.
Yeah. And it implies you go all in. You're 100% invested in the decisions you make. There is no going back. There is no safety net. There is no thought of, oh, if this doesn't work out, I'll do something else. And so my thought process around that was, I'd been to the Netherlands in 2017 to play hockey. And I'd played in Utrecht and then I'd played in Amsterdam. And I'd really loved the place. I wanted to explore it further. And then it just aligned with the fact that there was Unknown University where I could literally start my business or at least get a degree in entrepreneurship whilst building my business and get to explore another culture, another way of life. And then it was just a case of moving my things, which I don't have many of. I just have a couple of clothes and 2 suitcases, my hockey sticks, and I was here.
Yeah. Like what, did you also hear what this whole phrase of burning the boats was about?
It's got to do with the Dutch Marines, if I'm correct in saying so. It was actually Rutger that told me it from IM College, a partner of Unknowns. He said to me when we were talking about how I've been kind of caught in this riptide of staying here in this ecosystem that I love and with people that have become family effectively versus now following my purpose and actually going back to Africa and building those ecosystems. And he just said it's effectively like when the soldiers landed on an island, burn the boat so that there is only do or die.
Go all in.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
We will go more into also a bit of your past and also want to learn more about South Africa. Like I think it also has a very special high school culture. Yeah. We see a lot of interest from people from South Africa in studying at Unknown University. It has a certain culture of making and doing, which I think very much aligns with the Unknown culture as well. But are you going to burn your boats again? Like
in many aspects, yes. But I'm not going to burn the relationship boats. You know, I'm going to keep those very intact. Also, given that part of the purpose is to encourage and stimulate the youth in South Africa and across Africa to be proactive, take responsibility, and really start taking control of their future. And I'm going to be doing that through the initiative of Get in the Ring Africa, which was originally founded by a known group. So those relationships will remain intact, and I'll definitely be back here to be a part of the ecosystem constantly.
We have a big alumni event also in March. We'll see you back, but you're on the verge to flying back to South Africa. You have a big mission. What is the current state? Tell us a bit about South Africa and how you currently look upon the country. Where is it at?
I think
for many people here, like we know South Africa, but we don't know where it's currently at. And
I think South Africa is a place of hope. I think it's always been a land or a country of people who believe we can be better and should be better than we currently are. We've been stagnant in our growth, which has caused us to wane in opportunity. Specifically in the youth. So you see this massive brain drain or people leaving the country to pursue careers and opportunities elsewhere in the world, and people reaching really, really high levels, high statuses, who with their influence back in South Africa could be the change that we need in the country. And that's why I'm choosing to go now rather than when I'm at the top. I want to build the infrastructure to be at the top in the future. But South Africa itself is it's a mature ecosystem. The education system is mature, but it's at the same time archaic and it's outdated. And we need more high schools, universities, initiatives like Unknown University, like the African Leadership Academy, to really stimulate us to be more practical and understand that you don't have to just live this linear life of, okay, I'm going to study this degree because everyone else is doing it, but that you can actually do a degree and start building a business from the get-go.
Because you call it a land of hope. That aligns very much with entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurial people are hopeful, optimistic, pragmatic about the future. They're willing to fix it. How is that current entrepreneurial climate or culture in South Africa? How would you describe that?
So South Africa has been voted as one of the most entrepreneurial countries in the world. And I think that's because there's a lack of resources to the majority of the country, which means people have to find alternative routes to sourcing an income or to actually serving their basic needs. I'd say the entrepreneurial climate in South Africa right now is very informal, and a lot of it's very simplistic. It'll be someone opens a pop-up store on the side of the street selling biltong or selling lemonade, that kind of thing, right? To show you in the simplistic form. And although that is great, we need to take it to another level from an earlier age. We need to be thinking in a proactive, pragmatic way, as you said, from an earlier age about the problems that we can and should be solving in not only the country, but the continent. For example, now you see this massive rise in green energy, specifically in solar in South Africa, because we have the climate for it, we have the space, we also have the need for it with the power outages. And you see how something that, like the power outages, should not have had to be the cause of stimulating such a big rise in green energy. It should be coming from a place of realization that we need to change certain industries if we intend to progress as a society.
So you say it is happening.
Yeah.
Now you are going back. You're going back with a strong mission. You want to mature and help to further build up the entrepreneurial ecosystem in South Africa, also as a starting point for the African continent, if I describe it well. How do you look upon your mission? What are your plans?
So my plans with Staunch Ventures, which is my company, is to enable, to educate, and to encourage And what that means is to enable is to give startups and scale-ups and younger entrepreneurs the platform, the resources, and the knowledge and the network to succeed. Things that are quite difficult to come by in South Africa unless you already have that network in place. And I intend to do that through the likes of Get in the Ring, giving them a platform to express their ideas, express their concepts in front of a global network effectively. Educate is to be also then working with the likes of an Unknown University and other partners like African Leadership Academy or a LaunchX, who really focus on entrepreneurship and how can we progress and help the youth develop this proactive, outside of the box thinking approach, and working with them directly to funnel those young, ambitious entrepreneurs into those programs to help literally have the ripple effect that will change the lives they live in, but also the people around them. And encourage is to, incentivize young people across the continent to be more proactive. And that again is through the likes of a Get in the Ring initiative. It's through the likes of the venture studio side of the business that I work with startups and I show them, I try to show them how scalable their model really is. So stop thinking on a small short-term mindset and start looking at the bigger picture from earlier on.
Yeah. And to encourage you also need role models. You need role models in your society so that the young kids, they can look up to those role models and say, hey, I'm gonna be that person. Are there enough role models that also stick to the country and said, here is where I'm gonna build and be great?
Yes and no. I think there's a lot of role models that have been very present and actively controversial about the system, which is necessary. But they're saying that whilst they're living abroad. So they've made it and they've done really well, but they now choose to live in London or they now choose to live in the UAE. And everyone unto their own, but I believe that if you intend to reshape a system, you need to be fully experiencing the system itself. There is a rise now in these younger role models, specifically in politics, that are rising up and saying, it's time that we change what's happening. It's time that we put a government in power that is for the people rather than selling false hope, to say the least. So yeah, and I intend to be one of those role models. I know I'm a bit younger, but I intend to show people that age is just a number and that it's more about maturity and bigger picture, bigger view, worldview thinking, I think.
Yeah. And it also gives people something to relate to. Yeah. If you're doing this on a younger age, it's way more relatable to people. Yeah. And it gives them the hope that focusing on impact, focusing on building and rebuilding the system is something that also could pay off. Yeah,
I think another thing for me has been my role models are, other than my dad, of course, who's one of my greatest, if not the greatest role model. My role models right now are not specifically South Africans. For example, they are more centered around what their mission is, what they are doing. So you, for example, are a role model to me in the way that you, the way you carry yourself on a day-to-day basis, your optimism, your approach to everything, but also what you guys are doing here, what you're building at Unknown, and how special it is to me to see that I've been a part of it from very early on and what it's going to turn into in the coming decades. I aspire to do that back in Africa and have those kind of people around me doing that. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. What makes your dad in such a great role model to you?
So my dad was an entrepreneur himself in the real estate space, and he has a similar approach to you in that sense. He's always finding the best out of a bad situation, and he's always been able to lift himself up when the odds were against him. He's self-made, came from nothing, and was able to build something really great. And I think that it's also been the case that he's always treated me on an equal level. There's never been a power distance between us. which means that when things are good, we are equally adults from a young age. But when I make a mistake or I mess something up, I'm also treated like an adult, The responsibility and the liability is on me.
Yeah.
And I think that has created a really strong relationship between us, how we've been able to discuss business from a young age, how he's brought me into initiatives and he's taught me the ways in which business occurs back in South Africa and how to navigate certain problems.
Yeah. I think that raising also has paid off if you see like the ownership, the accountability that at a young age you're already having, and now taking these decisions, going back to Africa and rebuilding the system. It's a huge step.
Yeah,
it's a huge mission.
Yeah.
How I think in the whole ecosystem, high schools and education system, the current education system plays a big role in shaping those young leaders of the future in South Africa. How would you describe this culture at the high schools?
First word that comes to mind, competitive. You have this culture at school of it's that do or die mentality, and it's like, hey, who is the best in the country at academics? Oh, it's this school. Okay, we are third. We're going to work toward becoming first over the next 5 to 10 years. But also very competitive in the sporting front, in the musical front. Everything that occurs in the South African high school system is extremely competitive. And some might view it as unhealthy. I think it's pretty healthy. And it taught me a lot, and it forced me to be extroverted, especially the sports side of things. And that competition at the highest level. So the school that I went to, Hilton College, and a few of the other all-boys schools, for Michael House, for example, St. John's, Bishops, all of these schools are very highly sought after. And they breed a mentality in you of like, never say die. I will go and go and go, and I will find a way to make it work. And I think that is very similar to the mentality that every entrepreneur needs. Obviously, you have to be flexible and able to pivot and adjust according to what the market needs and so on and so forth. But it brings a lot of value to young men and women, because there's also really, really great girls' schools in the country. Few to mention are St. Anne's and Wickham, really, really great girls' schools that have a very, very high academic levels. So I would say that the system, what I think needs change is it needs more practicality in certain aspects. So I would say something like, so we have a life orientation module in South Africa, which is effectively community service and giving back and learning about how the system functions. I would love to see more initiatives like working in your group, so a 3 or 4 person co-founding group where you work on a business idea that is centered around a problem that the country faces: clean energy, water,
security.
Yeah. And then that is your project for the year. And whether you make it work or you don't, you've learned so much in the business realm, but also it's teaching a new mindset to you. I think the practicality is what we miss currently.
So it's more theoretical based.
Yes, very.
Because the competitive nature, like you said, sounds as a great ingredient for ambition. And of course, there's a balance to it. There's the everything in life is balanced, but this competitive nature is sometimes something I miss in Europe, where everything is taken for granted and everything comes to us. While I feel that with the current situation and the future that we're nearing to, not everything can be taken for granted, and we have to fix the future. So that also takes a mentality of competitiveness, of ambition, of drive to really go all in and go beyond into the unknown. So in that sense, that sounds like a great ingredient for South African kids. They're being taught that mentality. So next to the practical side, what are you aiming to, or maybe the practical side, but what are you aiming to do with those high schools to
stimulate the... So through Get in the Ring, I want to take a piece of that competitiveness and showcase these younger, ambitious high school students that are eager to build, to learn, that they can do it, and give them the platform from a young age to stand out effectively. Because it's that typical trait of like, an entrepreneur is that 60 percentile character, right? They get enough academically that they know they're never going to fail.
Yeah.
They're not someone that's trying to be a doctor or a accountant or an engineer, for example. They do enough to pass, but they're like, this system is not for me, it's flawed. I want to add to that system. I want to add a sliver that allows them the space to be, okay, I can be creative in this, create this annual repetitive competition that is almost like another realm of competitiveness between the schools, but between the students also. Like if you look at Young Ondernemer, for example, and how they are now doing this in the high school systems across Europe. If we could have something like that in Africa where it's also cross-border. So you set it up in South Africa and you have all of the schools that are putting forward a potential candidate or a founder that is building something. And then they are competing against someone from Tunisia or someone from Nigeria or Kenya, Uganda, you name it. You start to also close the gap between those fractional ecosystems, those separated ecosystems. And I truly believe that if we intend to develop as a continent, we cannot do it alone. We have to do it cross-border, the way Europe has done it.
Yep. I recognize that back in 2014 at our global final of Get in the Ring, I met Justin Goodsey, the founder of Go Metro.
Okay.
Big scale up in South Africa who has built the app for all the public transport services, connecting all the information in countries like, and then he went across border, Argentina, many countries. But back then, he had a very South African focus, and by stepping and getting in the ring, literally, competing against people from Indonesia, the founder of e-fishery, but also the founder of people from USA, UK. He always saw them, he said, as the big countries and saw himself as very little. But being able to equalize himself with those founders, he gave such a confidence and said, hey, I can do this. And that also made him kind of go across border and now turn the company into very impactful, scalable business in the transportation industry. So I like it how you tap into the competitive nature of the high schools and beyond sports and music, add this entrepreneurial aspect to the competitiveness.
Exactly.
And of course, you have to fix it together.
Yeah.
But having some competitive in the early on, like being able to raise your own ambition is good.
And it's healthy competition. I think some people have this perspective that competition is bad. Yeah. But it's not.
No.
And maybe not all, but most successful entrepreneurs are competitive.
Yeah, and you're not enemies. You're like after in the end you just drink together, but the competitiveness raises your own bar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you raise each other the whole way through.
Yeah.
But maybe to add a bit of like what I want to do with those schools is I also want to build those cross-border relationships between the likes of universities like Unknown University, because I think if I can expose to that talent pool in South Africa and Kenya and wherever else that wants to become successful entrepreneurs, what Unknown University really is, what you've been building here, and the type of people that you're surrounded by here, that I can almost guarantee the South Africans that come out of that university that want to change South Africa will change South Africa. The skill set that you learn here, the abilities, the network, everything, the ecosystem, it gives you that confidence. It equalizes you and shows you you're not just from a small country that is maybe of a lesser education level or lesser income bracket than that of the big superpowers, effectively.
Can you give some examples of that, of your experience here at Unknown University for the past 4 years?
Of those values that it's brought to me.
Yeah, like or the essential skills that you never thought you would learn, but now recognize.
Well, I think one thing is definitely the personal development journey you go on over the 4 years, and the ability to kind of how do I explain this? Like biohack your day in a way. So for me, the first year I was kind of a little bit lost. I was like, okay, what do I do? How do I do this? And I kind of committed myself at the end of first year, moving into second year, to really growing as an entrepreneur, but also as a human being. And I think they go hand in hand. And I'd say that my journey, my personal development journey over the past 3.5, 4 years has reshaped the way I think, reshaped the way I interact with people, but also given me the ability to, for example, understand that everything is like I can say no. I don't have to. I've always been a little bit more of a people pleaser. I don't want to upset people. But in more recent times, I realized that my time is limited, and the want for my time, although it's nice, should not. It should not be disposable. I should not be giving so much of my energy, my mental space, as we spoke about earlier, actually, to every single person, because then everyone takes a little sliver of you. But from the practical education side of things, definitely how to test with customers. That's a big one. How to literally get out of the building, talk to real people, how to structure tests in the market, things like stepping into your stakeholders' shoes rather than making assumptions, because we all know assumptions are the mother of all fuck-ups, as Thomas would love to say. And really understanding what those pain points that you're solving for your customers are. Because once you understand those, you can build everything around that. Your marketing campaigns. You build a marketing campaign targeting those pain points, and people feel as though it is literally what they're experiencing. And that's how you build a scalable model in that sense.
So you've talked about the shaping of you as a person.
Yeah.
The practicalities about the methods of actually bringing value to customers.
Yeah. So that's kind of the first part is personal entrepreneurship. How do you restructure your habit loops? That's the personal development aspect that I started on. Then the validation and ideation is so the degree progresses in that structure. You start to ideate, figure out what you want to do in which industries, what impact are you looking to make. And then you start moving into okay, how do we go to market? What does that go-to-market strategy look like? How do we monetize? How do we map out our business model canvas? Who are our key partners, key stakeholders? What is the value and the value proposition that we actually bring to our customers? And then a big one for me has been learning leadership skills. I always have had a tendency to lead, but actually knowing how to be a good leader of people and how to not poison your own company culture effectively. And that comes more in third and into fourth year. How do you lead an organization? How do you build a company culture that is, so for example, in South Africa, we have 12 national languages. You have the Rainbow Nation effectively. How do you build a culture in the company that is inclusive of all of these cultures, but at the same time is its own individual culture? Because you don't want to then create a bias toward any of the specific cultures, but rather one that works together toward one common goal.
And how did that come to you in those 4 years? You started, everybody starts their own startup. Yeah. You started off back in the days with Smooth Life. Yeah. Like how can you tell a little bit about how that process went?
Yeah, so when I joined the university, I had just come out of my big hockey phase. I'd been playing at a very high level hockey, and a couple of friends had gone professional. One of them had picked up a really big injury, and that had been delayed by the recovery process. So I wanted to find a way to centralize the entire recovery process an athlete goes through, both physical and mental, under one roof. Because there's a big issue in misalignment between a psychologist and a biokineticist. They don't speak to each other the same language. But in
A
creating
biokineticist?
yeah,
What is that?
a bio is
Somebody from the body.
yeah, someone on the body, yeah, or let's say a physio. Maybe that's easier.
A physio, and then the psychologist is the mental space. Okay,
exactly.
they don't talk.
They speak different languages, or there's a misalignment that then causes the recovery process to be another month, 2 months.
Yeah.
Or maybe the physio misjudges the injury and they don't cure it right away, which means that he has to have surgery, that type of thing.
And you thought I can fix that.
I thought so. And then I found out how much funding it would require to build something like that. And I decided to try and build something that was an easier business model, because in my opinion, entrepreneurship is like stepping stones. You cannot go from 0 to 100 in your first business. That is a completely complex business. You need to learn the basic levels. So Timo van der Koevering, myself and Chris Vogel, 2 other students from the Unknown University, we decided we were going to build Smooth Life, a pre-made, pre-frozen smoothie company. And the idea was to give to very busy individuals who don't have the time to sit down, make a breakfast or a lunch, the opportunity to eat good, healthy, whole fruit smoothies, effectively, that were high in protein contents, high in vitamin. And the idea was that we made these smoothies, froze them, and you could take them to work in your backpack. They would stay frozen for up to 6 hours. But all that was required is you throw it in your shaker bottle with 30 mils of water, shake it, and it dissolves into a full smoothie. It was a great idea. I still love the business model.
Mm-hmm.
But the regulations were quite tricky, being that we were students, we didn't have the kitchen space. That's also why I say Kiko would have been so great a few years back. And so we were testing products, doing product development in our kitchen at the student hotel. Which was interesting, to say the least. And we worked on that for about a year, and then all of the big companies started coming out. Hypro started coming out more with their smoothies, and even IKEA started to come out with some different branded things. And we decided that it was either we needed to put in the capital to make it work, and even then it was becoming a highly competitive market, or it was time to step out.
So you actually listened very well to your customers. And the other brands did as well, and they had more capital and power.
Much bigger brands. So then then I stepped out, and I went back into a phase of ideation. And I wanted to, this is when my thought of connecting Africa came back into play. I wanted to find a way to bring a bit of my culture here, or find a way to bridge the differences, kind of show you and everyone here what South Africa is about. So I looked at the idea of setting up a biltong company. For anyone that doesn't know, that is a dried meat, usually dried and hung with salt and vinegar and spices. It's very traditional in South Africa. Beef, or it can be wild game meat.
Anything.
Okay. You can even get chicken, ostrich, you name it. And I found that getting into the red meat industry is not something that I would particularly wanted to do.
You keep on going back to the food.
I know, and I don't know why. Because it's not an industry that I think I want.
You like a good braai.
I love a good braai. That's why I'm going back, right? Braai. I kind of didn't commit myself very hard to that idea. And then at some point we founded Youth Entrepreneurship Society. And Yes was basically a collective of, first of all, young, unknown students that wanted to get together, work together, and really build the community of ambitious founders that we have here. And that then became more than just unknown students. We hosted events with some like ASIF event, not ASIF. Tulip. With Tulip Ventures from Uwe and Vu. And we tried to bring together young entrepreneurs or people interested in the space from the Amsterdam community. And that was great and all, but it was more of a initiative rather than a business. And I decided that I wanted to then be back in the business space trying to build. And I joined a course which upskilled me in short format marketing. So I did this 6-month course in short format marketing and email marketing. And I then started a marketing agency, which I ran for about a year, a little bit longer. And I enjoyed it at first. I really enjoyed upskilling myself in a hard skill and learning how that works. And then also the whole aspect of cold calling, cold emailing, cold DMing, crunching numbers, doing 100 to 200 every single day, getting one meeting.
You also had those peers around you at a certain moment.
So a group of us, 5 of us, we started Stratton Oakmont, which is from the Wolf of Wall Street. And that was, we committed ourselves to 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day, 6 days of the week at the office, clocking in and just working, just hustle culture. And it was actually in that month of June that I would say I had, at least in that phase, my biggest success of signing clients, fulfilling my my client scope, doing the work for them effectively.
So you surrounded yourself with like-minded mentalities. Anton, Aniban, Timo.
And Timo.
Yeah.
And what was nice is we had them at different phases. I mean, Anton was already quite far down the path, and he's doing wonderful things, and a really, really great founder of work ethic beyond measure. But then you also had me in an early phase. You had Yesa with co-found, who was building really well, and then also questioning his belief system and asking himself, is this the business for me? Do I want to change this? Which he eventually did, and he focused on Damari. But then at some point with the marketing agency, I realized I was always chasing profit. I was getting sucked into this kind of material realm that is the e-commerce and marketing space specifically, of like showing off this flashy lifestyle and signing a client, then not necessarily always fulfilling the agreement, and then losing a client and getting a new client, and I decided I want to do something more impact driven, and that was when my thesis was starting, and I started to also get a lot more advice and mentorship from you, and so I tested a business model called co-founding as a service back in Africa. And the intent there was to learn whether tech startups were looking or had commercial inefficiencies and were looking for services such as active sales, marketing, branding to really kickstart them and get them off the ground. And what I found was they were less interested in those individual services, but more so that the biggest problems they had were access to early stage capital and human capacity deficit. So with that, what I mentioned earlier about people leaving the country, these highly educated, let's say the top 30 percentile, get highly educated in the country and then leave. And that leaves you with 70 percentile that is still reasonably educated, but those are not the people that you want to be building foundational companies with, right? You want to be building with the most intelligent of intelligent, proactive, outside of the box, creative people. And so I started working on the venture studio model. And that was when I then started working with Bag Learning, which is a client of mine, and Brett Geyser, who's the founder. And they are revolutionizing the way university students study in South Africa. We've already seen that in the short time span that people have been using the platform, they've been averaging an increase of 3 to 5% increase per subject on a semester basis. And I truly believe that they will be continent-wide in the coming years. And I started to get a lot more energy out of that, enthusiasm of seeing like the impact that I was making on their company, which was also directly correlating to people on the ground in Africa.
So you listened well to yourself.
Yeah.
You were searching, and then you went to where do I actually feel happy?
Yeah.
Because and I want to learn more about back learning in a minute. But reflecting on this journey, you've been with Unknown University for 4 years. Everything you just told was during your study, searching for different businesses. 70% of our students they graduate becoming an entrepreneur. You're one of those. But I think it's totally normal that for 4 years you're also searching for what is this business about. Not everybody kind of succeeds of having this scale-up company in the end.
Yeah.
Like, what would you give to other people also searching? And
it's a good question. I would say give yourself the time to search. Don't feel obliged to dive deep into something if it doesn't sit with you, if it's not something that really strikes you. Because then you're channeling your energy into something that is already draining your energy in a way. I think that was something I struggled with, of like diving into something and being like, this is not actually what I want to be doing. This is not something that really interests me. And then you realize that you're working at the start on the honeymoon phase, right? Everything's so exciting. You've just started, but it's all extrinsic, and extrinsic motivation runs out after a while. And if you're going to build a foundational business that is successful and that you're able to devote your life to for a long period of time, it has to be intrinsic motivation, and you have to be in touch with your intuition, and it has to be rooted in your values. I would say that's the advice that I would give to someone still searching.
Keep searching, keep
searching,
walking.
Keep walking, and venture into the unknown.
Now we have all of those.
Yeah, just like that. Tick, tick, tick.
Yeah, that might be the title of this whole podcast.
Yeah.
So we talked about your vision and mission on South Africa, how this is also rooted into the educational system.
Yeah.
And now you're also being involved in back learning.
Yeah.
What is your mission there?
So there is about 1 million active students in South Africa, university students. And my mission, my 1-year hag or 2-year hag, to say the least, here audacious goal, is to get bag learning across the country and into the systems with all of those students. And in doing so, I understand that there will be people that cannot afford it. So I'm also in my mind now wanting to raise the topic of how do we make it affordable? Because it's not that it's cheap, but it's not expensive. And my concept idea is to create a 1-for-1. So for every person that sign up, we also give a free subscription to someone.
Yeah.
And my bigger vision, which is very aligned with the founders, is taking bag learning across the continent, because him and I both are aligned on the fact that we are founders from Africa for Africa, and we will build long into the future together in different companies. But in the near future, we'll also be raising funds, and I'm looking forward to helping with that and really diving into the details, because the devil's in the details.
Yeah.
And leveraging the network that I have in the funding space.
Because the company puts learning into your bag, so that you can take it with you.
Yeah.
It helps people individualize their learning journeys with AI.
So we have a number of different tools. You have the smart study tools. You have flashcards, exam simulators, mock exams, Zazie, which is your personal AI learning guide. And we're also tech stacking a few that haven't been released yet. I'll just briefly touch on the overall, but something more so on the voice side, so you can listen to your topic.
Yeah.
So podcast style in a way.
Yeah.
And I'm also interested in looking how we can explore the visual side. So then you cover the three, right? You have the rote learning, you have the visual learning, and you have the voice, whatever it's called.
Audio didactic.
Exactly. We've recently been accepted into 11 Labs, startup incubator kind of agreement thing. And I'm looking forward to leveraging that because they have startups from all over the world there. And those tools. So the reason that bag learning is so special is that if you look at ChatGPT's study tool, it accumulates the data you give to it, but it also brings in and accumulates data from across the internet effectively. Bag learning's API is it only takes data from the information you feed it. So you upload all of your notes, your physical notes. You can put pictures of your textbooks, past papers, anything like that. And the tech stack is then based off of, so you put in what university you're from, what year you're in, what degree you're doing, and then what languages you'd like to learn in. So we're now tech stacking on how can we make it that you can learn in your home language also, in the different African cultures.
Talking about accessibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, then that's why I think it's so special to give it to the full country.
Yeah. So it takes out all the noise, all the hallucination that ChatGPT and others would give you. Yeah. People that would be interested to join this mission as investors, like how can they reach you? What are you looking for? What type of round?
So I'm building my backend system at the moment.
Yeah.
For Bag Learning's raising round specifically, that will be something I will start opening conversations up in January. And I've already approached one or two investors, angels, but also VCs that would be of interest to us. And we will still strategize whether we are going to do it purely private or if we're going to look at potentially also bringing on some of the universities as a form of financing, or even government for that matter of fact. But if you're looking to make contact regarding that, I recommend going to either the website, Bag Learning, or visiting my LinkedIn and dropping me a message on LinkedIn. I'm Oliver Christodoulou. And finally, you could also reach out to Brett Geyser, the founder of Bag Learning. Also, send me an email at oliver@staunchventures.com.
So maybe last question, like upcoming years back in South Africa, what will it look like in 5 years?
The country or my 5 years?
Both, but your contribution to it in your ecosystem.
I'd like to say that I don't want to put a number to it, but that I've brought a quantity of catalytic capital to South Africa. And for those that don't know, that is capital with the intent of making impact, not purely ROI, return on investment. That I've supported in the scalability and growth of a number of ventures, specifically in the edtech, so educational technology, medical technology, and agricultural spaces. And that I have a active initiative, Get in the Ring, that is deeply embedded into not only the South African ecosystem and is creating opportunity for young founders and businesses to really succeed and propel, but is also now expanding across the continent, working with the likes of Youth Energy Summit to take it to the different countries around Africa, but also working with the likes of the African Development Bank so we can further the youth entrepreneurship ecosystems around the continent. I think it's going to be a long 5 years of growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't underestimate what you can do in 5 years. Yeah. Look at what you've done yourself in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
What would you give to those young people that are listening, wanting to start their business, thinking about what they should do, where they should study? It's not a biased question.
Take the first step, first of all. You cannot be at a standstill. And that first step doesn't mean, okay, start this business, but it means, okay, start exploring different business models, start actively reading, start listening to more business podcasts, start exploring practical educations. Have a look at the likes of what Unknown University is building. Explore and never stop being a student. You know, I think life is about being a student throughout your lifetime, and venture into the unknown.
And with that, I want to thank you, Oliver. I wish you all the best back in your home country, and we will stay in touch. I'll see you back in March. And for all of you listening, thanks a lot, and I'll hope to see you at the next episode.